All right, we are live. What's going on, guys? We're back. We are here for the Big Brother nominations on September 20th for All Stars 2. I have here with me David. He's with me every Sunday and Wednesday. My name is Cam, and we do this for the Russell Hant Show and the Patreon group. So we have quite a bit to unpack here. We've got a lot of the flashback. We've got a lot of somebody's just getting outplayed in this episode. It's not good, but I'm curious to see how you feel about it when we get there. But yeah, so we'll go ahead. We'll go straight through it. The first thing we see in the episode is the elephant in the room, right? Why did Nicole not force the tie? Why did she not do it? So why do you think she didn't do it?
So before I continue, like you were saying, basically the whole plot of this episode is based on the Ian eviction from Thursday's episode of last week. But basically, at least from what Nicole communicated to us, she didn't want to vote out Ian because she wanted to show loyalty to the committee. And she and both Danny understand that the committee's going to blow up at some point, that 6-person alliance that they're both in. So she just felt like it wasn't the right time to do that. And she knew that there was no chance of Ian staying, and she didn't want to put Danny in a bad position to have to break a potential tie. So she just made it a 5-3 vote and sent Ian packing. Even though whether it was crocodile tears or not, she said it's the toughest decision she's ever had to make in Big Brother. So nonetheless, she voted Ian out.
Yeah, Aiden, I've got that written down, man. We'll get to that as well. It's impressive how well he can read the house, but how little he can do to change anything. I've got that written down. We'll get into that as well. I just think she's fake. Like, I just think Nicole is just absolutely fake. It's anything about Nicole. She's walking around the house trying to find out how to act like she can be sad. And I don't understand this. This method of game, I hate. David's doing the same thing as far as like, oh, woe me. Kevin's doing the woe me. Nobody wants to own their game. Nobody wants to put anybody in a tough situation. And It drives me insane. I've been beating this drum since the first week. Like, own your game, put people in tough spots, and work it out. Like, that's the game, right? This whole thing where I don't want to put my alliance in danger with Danny and have her make the decision. No, so you just want to make it to where it's going to be down to 4 people who flip the vote, and then all the focus is on you. Make Danny make that decision. Make it.
This is where BB16 kind of ruined New Era Big Brother, because that was the season where Battle the Block was introduced, where there was 2 HOHs and 2 sets of nominees. And Derek, I mean, credit to him for coming up with the strategy, but this was the strategy that kind of broke Big Brother, where all the alpha competition threats, either male or female, just band together in a huge alliance, and then they were just able to steamroll through the first part of the game. And it's just extremely boring to watch from a viewer perspective. And that's kind of carried on from every season preceding that. And obviously we saw it this season. I mean, the committee and the Slick Six are consisting of plenty of challenge beasts or strong challenge players. And yeah, I mean, you'd think something has to give at this point, but it's just still so boring. I mean, we're just going with what the house wants still, and I mean, it's really hard to watch.
I was actually impressed. I was happy, glad that David was actually deciding to try to do something that could change the game a little bit. It could put the blame somewhere else. It could attack the alliance that he's aware of. It could attack that alliance from within. And he wanted to do a 4-4 split. He went around, he was honest, and he said, hey, look, this is what I want to do. I want Danny to make this decision. She's already got 4 nominees this week. I want her to evict somebody, and then all the blows in her hands. And in the next week, if she doesn't win, she's got half the house that's mad at her.
Exactly. It was the right plan. It just got foiled by Kevin, which I'm sure we're going to get into. I mean, I don't know if this was the deciding.
Kevin. Jeez, Lou, come on, man. Hey.
Right. I mean, I don't know if this is what, was the nail in the coffin in terms of what Danny chose to do with pinning everything on David, but Kevin just running to Danny saying David wants to put the blame on you. She took that information, used it as leverage, and was able to flip the whole thing around on David. So, I mean, I know I said this to you right before we went live, but we might have to give a round of applause to Nicole F. and Danny for a good episode.
That nauseates me at this point. But, I mean, I can't disagree with you there. They're outplaying them. But, we'll get more into that. But this goes back to David not owning his game last week. Or, I'm sorry, I'm getting my weeks confused. It was either last week or the week before where he saved himself. That was last week, correct?
Last week, yep.
So it directly correlates to the fact that he didn't own his game. He didn't say it was me. He wasn't honest with the people around him, and he tried to do these crocodile tears, and it did nothing but hurt his game even further. So when you come into a moment like this where you're trying to make a move, you're trying to be honest with the people around you that have been trying to help you this whole time, now they don't believe you because you bold-faced lied to them. So anything you do from now on is going to be second-guessed.
And Kevin pointed to that when he was talking to him right before he went to Danny. He said in his DR, he's like, I don't really trust Kevin, or Kevin doesn't really trust David because of him going around asking everyone like, yo, did you save me with the disruptor power? Like, that was just so unnecessary, and that inadvertently caused David's game to go in a downward spiral this week because Kevin took this mistrust that he has in David and ran with it to Danny. And as I previously said, she was able to flip the whole thing on him. So, yeah, it's not looking good for David. It was a tough episode for him tonight.
It's like they got to baby him. They're like Davon pulled him into that side. I don't know what that room's called, little parlor side room, and is like, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yes, that's what I want to do." "Are you sure?" "Yes, 100%." And she goes, "This will negatively affect me if this does not go the way you say it's going to go." And Kevin is he's being honest with her. He's like, "Yes, this is what did I say Kevin? I meant David." David is being honest with her. But it's not. It's just he's done so many bad things in the game for as far as gameplay is concerned that this to me was never going to work. It was just never going to work.
Right. I mean, just he's caused so many different people to mistrust him. And
is that what it's called? The love room? That little side
I think
room?
That sounds familiar. Yeah. I'm not sure. Like, that's what the house guests have called it. I know over the feeds over the years for whatever reason.
It's a weird thing to call that room, considering everybody in there is, in relationships with the exception of Enzo.
Right.
So why do they call it the love room? That seems a little bit weird. Why can't they just call it hang out, or the hangout or the side room or the parlor? I don't know. It seems a little bit weird, but yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, so basically this whole episode is centered around Danny and Nicole outplaying David. That's basically what's happening this entire episode. So Nicole knows the whole way that she's not going to vote to keep Ian. She knows that she's going to keep Tyler at this point. So I'm a little bit confused about this because Nicole and Danny, they wanted Tyler out to begin with, right?
They wanted him out at the beginning, at the beginning of the week because or even after the veto, because Nicole was just trying to pitch getting a strong male out in this game, and what better strong male to get out than Tyler, who's arguably one of the best players to ever play, and came within one vote of winning. So, yeah, they initially wanted Tyler, and then they're still just, I guess they went with Ian because he's like not part of any alliances and he's a former winner, but I mean, I fail to see like the change in mindset from Tyler to Ian.
Yeah, and we'll move on to where David's doing his little roundabout where he's going to everybody, talking to him, and he goes to Kevin, and Kevin gets a big L on this episode. Like, I mean, he just gets there's no win for him in this one. There's no way you can convince me that this episode that Kevin is having a good week. There's no way. The first thing he does, without even really consulting with David, he basically says David has a credit score of, what was it, -3,000?
-3, yeah.
It's funny. It's kind of true because he's lied to him, but hear the man out. Like, why are you guys just walking around not trying to discuss this?
Right. I mean, it was very hard to watch the bottom feeders, the bottom three, and Kevin, Davon, and David just essentially cannibalize each other. And I mean, this is a testament to how Nicole F. and Danny played in this episode, but they just got the bottom to go after each other. And I mean, yeah, like they don't have much hope to begin with. It's 7 against 3. I mean, there's 10 people left, but I mean, just you got to show unity. I mean, it's not looking good, but the last thing you need is to be going after each other.
Do you want to handle the most shocking part of this episode for me is after Kevin talks with David, what he does?
So after talking to David, and this was this brought out an audible gasp.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. In the chat, do not put spoilers in the chat. Don't do it, please.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Don't ruin it for people that haven't seen it. If you do a spoiler, you're immediately getting blocked. There's no questions asked. This is no spoilers here. Don't say who won veto. Don't say if they used it or they didn't. We use veto. Don't say who's going home. We're here to recap the episodes we've seen, not the ones we haven't seen. Okay, so sorry, but go ahead, man.
So yeah, basically this brought out an audible gasp in me when Kevin did this. Is he takes everything he learned from his conversation with David and he runs straight to Danny and says, David is trying to get this to be a 4-4 vote and pin the blame on you so that you have to make another decision and make another house guest angry moving into next week. So Danny basically takes this information. She's super angry. She calls David I don't know how many times someone's called David an amateur this season, but once again, he's labeled as an amateur at this game. And then she just uses this information as ammunition to flip it on him. And then she talks to Nicole and says, Nicole, you're going to vote Ian out still. And because it'll be 5-3, we'll be able to flip it on David being the one who flipped, and then everyone will be mad at him. So Kevin indirectly sealed David's fate when he should have just kept that information to himself. I mean, it serves him no benefit to running the game.
It did nothing to help him. Like, he knows she's on the opposite side of the house. He knows that. He knows his tight three, are him, Davon, and David. So why are you going and throwing David under the bus? Furthermore, I mean, red flag should go up when he's talking with Danny and he looks at Danny and goes, will you want to vote Tyler out? And she goes, yes, I want to vote Tyler out. So then why is Danny getting so upset when they plan to split the vote and allow Danny to vote out Tyler? Why is that a problem? If you want Tyler out, if that's your target, why is there an issue of us splitting the vote and you vote? Why are you so mad about that? The answer is clear, because that's not what she wants to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And this, before Kevin even runs through this conversation with Danny, he should have probably realized, like, he probably has in his head, he's probably thinking, like, the chances of me building something with Danny at this point in the game are a long shot. I mean, people forget, or people probably don't forget, but Danny nominated Kevin last week, even though, like, you know, she tried to tell him, like, oh, you can play in veto, but clearly there's no trust there. So why would Kevin try and build trust with Danny? It just doesn't make sense to me. And I mean, it just kind of tanked his game, tanked Davon's game, and then, you know, basically.
I mean, Danny's not wrong. I mean, she knows that. I mean, it was kind of messed up to say, you know, but she's not wrong. He only played like a few days in his season, actually in the game. So,
just Danny saying, like, the audacity of David to try and make a move in the game. Like, oh my goodness. Like, sorry, someone tries and play Big Brother.
I know. I don't get it. And then Danny goes, why do I need to get more blood on my hands? I'm like, listen, there's a point in the week where you have bathed in the Big Brother blood so much, you can't get any more on your hands at this point. So at this point, you might as well just, you know, take the bull by the horns and just say, you know what, let me make this decision. Because how does it negatively affect her, really? Like, if she really wants Tyler to go home, she votes out Tyler. Exactly. If she wants Ian to go home, she votes out Ian, and her alliance is in the same exact spot. They're happy with her decision. The person that she wanted to go home goes home. I mean, I don't understand Danny's position here, where she doesn't want more blood. I don't get it.
Right. And the only backlash she faces is the people in the minority being mad at her, but they're, you know, you still are in the majority. So, like, what does that matter? And I mean, the great Dan Giesling in season 14, when he evicted Shane at the end of the game, he said there's like blood piling. He's been piling up blood, and he's up to blood in his elbows. Right. So, you know, if you want someone out, which in that instance you want Shane out, like, you got to make the move and you'll deal with the consequences later. I mean,
it's like jumping into the middle of a lake and being, I don't want to get any more wet. Like, you're already soaked. Like, just enjoy it. Do what you got to do. Own your game. Make moves, because your alliance is still with you, even if you vote Ian out. And when you vote Ian out, if you get to the final two, you can look at Ian and you can be like, Ian, I did that to you. And I want you to understand it was gameplay, and I do want your vote. Instead of this whole passive thing. Like, I just don't get it, man. I don't understand.
And this is where, I mean, I know this is kind of more of a prediction. It doesn't really relate too much to this episode, but the main theme of this season has been players kind of not owning their game or doing whatever the house wants. But when you have someone in the house like Memphis, who, yeah, not everyone really likes him, but at least he owns everything he's doing. He's very straightforward with everyone, whether it be condescending or not. There's going to be a time where if he's makes it to the end, the jurors may respect that, and we could be looking at someone like Memphis potentially winning this game just due to his straightforwardness.
No, I don't think it has anything. This for Dragon Monkey. I don't think it has anything to do with people being in second place or really anybody previous winners winning the game. I think Ian going home because he won the game is more of an arc they created when he got on the block. This is all pregame. This is pregame alliances. This is what happened before the game. The Memphis, Cody, all this stuff they put together. That's what's going on in the house. So, so if you guys are upset, blame Dan, blame Derek.
Yeah,
part of the game. I don't hate them for it. They did what they had to do because they thought they were going to the house, but it's just really pregame alliances. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show this comment just because anytime I see a Game of Thrones reference, it's going to get on the live stream here and we're going to just look at it. You're right. She does not want to emulate Daenerys. Daenerys would have burned the house down. Yeah. So then Dany goes. So we got kind of an explanation from Dany on why she didn't want to use her power. And again, it did not make sense to me. Like, you just nominated 4 people, you just had a person voted out, and you have a chance to go out there and use a power to protect yourself and potentially win and support your alliance. But you want to crawl back in the dark and disappear for a minute. Like, you're not disappearing. You're there. You're out there. It's happened. Your game's exposed. There's a big alliance. They know you're a part of it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she wants to use it. Do you know when it expires, that power? It
already expired. That was her last chance to use it, I believe.
Okay, so if it already expired, what's the point? I mean, God forbid anyone look out for themselves in this game. It's all about the alliance still. And I mean, you're right. I mean, why not just exercise that and play and try and win again? I mean, maybe do some damage control after having to nominate a third of the house last week. So and again, it's going to be impossible. She's already planted people. The common mantra in Big Brother is always forgiving and forgetting. So people can forgive, but they'll never forget. And that's honestly what's going to happen to Dany here because, she's been planting seeds from the beginning. Everyone acknowledges how sneaky she is, but she's going to have a tough uphill battle ahead, in my opinion, once this committee hopefully finally cracks at some point. So I just think it's a little naive of her to think that she can just, go behind the curtain and just start planting seeds again. I mean, people know who Dany Donato is on her 3rd time playing now. This is just what she does. Yeah, and again, even if she did lie about the power, it doesn't really matter if she lied about the power, because if she uses it, she can say, hey, guys, I'm using this for us. I'm using this to protect us, because if one of them win, they're coming after us. So I want another opportunity to win the HOH and put them back up so they don't target us. So even if she lied about having the power, I don't think it necessarily affects too much. And it probably would have been overlooked through the whole David storyline this week about him flipping. I mean, if she used it, this is a little weird that Dany used the power, but, why did David flip? That still would have been the main storyline. So, yeah, she definitely could have gone away with it. Hey, guys, if you're watching the video as well, if you do me a quick favor, if you just click that like button real quick. Last time, we had 26 likes on the video. I'd like to get to around 50. It's just a personal goal of mine. So if you are watching it, just real quick, click that like button. Give him one of these thumbs up. Yeah, give it a thumbs up for us. So then we get our daily dose of Enzo. I had no doubt in my mind that Enzo was not going to do well. He's not a puzzle genius. He's over there just I don't know what he was doing. He's not doing do they not see? So if you have an orange hydrant and the inside is gray, right? All the pieces, the inside of the pieces are gray. Why are you trying to fit a piece with the gray on the outside? Your color is orange. So position it in places where the orange is on the outside. Did you notice that too? That they were trying to fit it to where the mixed colors were all over the place? Right. I mean, you got to realize any puzzle, they're going to connect and you're going to see it form over time. It's just shocking to me that, Enzo didn't catch on to that. But yeah, just that's it, yo. This doesn't even look like the pieces the proper hydrant, yo, or something. He's he thinks he got the wrong puzzle. He's I don't have the same puzzle as everybody else. I'm no, Enzo, you need to take some time and really look at it. It's not a hard puzzle. Right. It was 19 pieces, but I mean, like, once you get in rhythm, you get into rhythm. Or you could be like Nicole and just cheat off Kevin.
Yeah. And then you got Christmas's brilliant idea. Good Lord. Over there. Let me build it over here so that I can pick it up and put it on there. When the pieces clearly you can't just pick it up and set it on. Like you have to take the bottom and slide it in what looks like a little thing, like a little ledge. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
you can't just put it in there. Like you have to like tuck it. So she would have to take the puzzle apart again.
And just switching over to Survivor and Survivor Game Changers, that's what Ty did, where they had that classic comp where you have to spell out the word immunity letter by letter or block by block, and you have to like work your way over on the rope or something. And he thought he could spell the whole thing out like already in advance and then like walk over and do it. It's like that's just not going to work. Like what goes? I mean, in Survivor, it makes more sense because you're mentally depleted, so you kind of lose your train of thought, but. Like Christmas, what are you thinking?
It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah, look, there's a couple people that are actually playing like all-stars. I'm seeing some gameplay where people are playing like all-stars. As much as we hate them as just people right now, Nicole, God, I hate saying this. She's playing like an all-star. Danny is playing well, like an all-star right now as far as what she did this episode. Memphis as well. We'll get to Memphis. I think Memphis is playing well for his game, although we don't like them for what they've said on a personal level. As far as a gameplay level, they're playing pretty decent.
Right. And I would even add people like Cody and Enzo to that as well. I mean, I'd still stand corrected in saying Enzo is probably the most well-positioned player in the house still. And then obviously Cody, I mean, he had a big target early after winning week 1 HOH. And he's kind of, gone behind the curtains a bit as well. So, they're all playing well. It's just so boring to watch.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, guys, if you haven't watched the episode yet, we're going to go over who won the HOH. Memphis ends up winning the HOH. And he immediately says, let's get tacos, which I didn't realize it was taco night. But I thought at first, I wrote down, I was like, this man wins HOH and he demands tacos to be cooked for him. Like, who is this guy? Like, I'd look at him and say, cook your own damn tacos. But I didn't realize it was like a big thing, like a big taco night thing,
Right. And I will say, we were talking about Enzo and how we didn't think he would be able to solve the puzzle. I honestly didn't think Memphis would be able to either. And then he attributes his puzzle solving skills to his son, River, right after he wins. He's like, that's for you, River. Thanks for teaching me how to do puzzles. So, nice little win from Memphis as he gets the second HOH.
Yeah, and as we kind of assumed, if Memphis won, he still has this fixation. It's still a fixation on David. He said, "I've got unfinished business.
I've got unfinished business with a consistent target in the house." Like what?
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, Kim. We're about to head first into this right here. Because this is some nonsense right here. What God, that thing between Davon and Christmas, good Lord, awkward, unnecessary, petty. Like it's just it was just anyway. But yeah, so the next phase of the episode, if you can kind of go over this, is where basically Davon and David have their situation in the kitchen. Then Kevin comes in. And do you kind of want to go over what happened with that whole dichotomy with those three people?
Yeah, so basically Davon is just mad at David because she's convinced that it's him who flipped the vote to make it 5-3 instead of forcing a 4-4 tie. And, she confides in both Danny and Nicole F. in thinking this. And those two, once again, I mean, we're giving them a lot of credit here, unfortunately, but they feed into her paranoia and say, like, he's the worst. He's so sneaky. Like, how dare he do that? And then basically Davon and David essentially have it out in the kitchen. Davon just gets a little emotional saying, like, I had your back in this game. Like, we're both in here for the same common goal to get to the end. And she feels like David betrayed her. So she takes it really personally. And David just keeps on insisting, like, I didn't flip. And then for the first time in his Big Brother career, we see David storm away from the kitchen and he yells and he says, I can't trust anyone in this game. I feel like I have nobody. I can't even play with people who look like me in this game. So he just feels hopeless at this point, and he's just truly on the bottom. And at this point in the episode, it's just nothing's going right for David.
How hard is it if you're in this game to look at David and understand he didn't do it? Like, he's been so, in the other things he did, he's been so shady. He's been like, I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to commit one way or the other. Like, when you're catching him in a spot he doesn't need to be in. But in this spot, when he is 100% denying that he flipped, he's the one who approached you, told you what he was going to do, shook your hand. He's been consistent. At some point, you have to look at this and go, okay, hold on. Kevin should look at it and go, okay, Davon has been tight with David. David's been kind of tight with Davon. There's one squeaky wheel here who doesn't seem to fit into what we got going on, and being Nicole. At what point do you look at that and you just go, maybe it's her? Like, how hard is that to think about?
Like she doesn't have any allegiance to us. We have no allegiance to her. So it would have been just so easy to say Nicole was the one to flip. And for some reason, Kevin talks to David and he's still frustrated with him. And they're trying to put the pieces together and saying like, well, if I say that I didn't flip, if Davon said she didn't flip, and then if you're saying you didn't flip, then it must have been Nicole, but he's not really buying that. And then we obviously have the DR where David says he thinks it's Nicole F and Danny who planned this whole thing. And this goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, where David has such good reads in this game, but he just can't really communicate it to the right people. And this is what just ended up costing him, is now Davon and Kevin, the only two people left that he really has in this game, are losing trust in him.
That's right. Like he knows where everything's at as far as who's in what alliance. He knows the moves that are going to be made. He is just completely and totally incapable of carving a new path in the game. Like, everything he tries to do fails. Everything. And nothing goes the way he wants it to go. And in this case, we're going to attribute it to the next two people here, Nicole and Danny. They are absolutely 100% teaching this man how to play the game. And he's learning on the fly. And it's not good for him right now. So Nicole and Danny are in the pantry, and we know who the boss is from that conversation, because Nicole walks up to Danny and goes, "What do I do?" What? Like, what? That's not how you have that conversation, right? Like, you walk in and say, "What should we do? How do we go through this?" Not, "Tell me what to do." Like, that's not
right. And it's just so frustrating because Nicole's just pandering to Danny, and this relationship may not even pan out. Like, I mean, the chances of them both being the final two are getting slimmer and slimmer. So, just do something for your own game, Nicole. And she's just like asking permission to, like, should I do this? I don't want to blow up your game. Like, you got to realize, as much as you like Danny on a personal level, Danny nominated 4 people, like a third of the house. She's a sinking ship. You're in a good spot. You have Cody, you have Enzo, you have Memphis, like you have Tyler probably. I mean, you just voted to save Tyler, so of course you have Tyler with you. So I don't know. She's sticking her neck out for Danny a little bit too much, and I mean, people are going to catch on to those two being a duo.
And then Danny goes, the line, one of the lines of the episode was Danny goes, "Nicole, we're in the clear." Do what? You're in the clear? You just got done nominating 4 people. One of your people just went home. Ian just went home, a very well-liked house guest on your HOH, and the person you're tightest with is the subject of a flip. Like, how are you in the clear?
Right. And I will say what they did do correctly here is we often see people in Big Brother talk about doing damage control after blindsiding someone and completely failing, but they did an excellent job with doing damage control with the minority this week, and saying that they didn't flip and pinning it on David. They did the one thing that the minority didn't need to have happen, which is get them all to fight each other rather than fight against the majority and possibly cause a flip. And, Nicole F. and Danny were able to pull it off. So for the short-term future, they're safe. But, I mean, people aren't going to forget this. And, I mean, this whole vote may have a ripple effect on the next couple of weeks.
Right. Nicole also said she hates lying. I don't want that to go unnoticed in the episode. She hates lying. Let me tell you, she enjoys lying, and she's lying saying she doesn't enjoy lying. Like, it's unbelievable, this girl. It's unbelievable.
She just needs to own it. I mean, she did it with Janelle. She, like, tried to seem all like, oh, I'm all this, like, I'm this and that, like, I'm hot stuff, like, making Janelle a have-not. And then she just is like, she can't even own it. And then in the Janelle goodbye message, she's like, she like can barely work up the confidence to say to Janelle, you're uninvited to the wedding. It's just like, just own that you're a villain and we'd appreciate you so much more. But then we get nasally voice confessionals of her just whining, complaining all the time.
Yeah, I hope that wedding, the people that are like organizing that wedding, I hope they have a savings account, because all these sponsors that were paying for everything, they're pulling out. So that $3,000 bill to attend the wedding, that's going to become $5,000. It's because she's losing everything. Just
I'm
the
sure,
way.
great person outside of the game, as we both reiterated many times. But I mean, just so annoying to watch these last couple seasons on Big Brother.
Dude, everybody is loving the Nicole falling in the tub. Like I was like indifferent on it. Like I didn't laugh at it. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like, oh, I'm glad she fell. I was like, all right, that's 15 seconds.
Right.
But that is like, we can talk about that a little bit, because there was a little bit of gameplay in there where the three women, Christmas, Danielle, and Nicole, basically said they want a female to win the game. But the problem is in those three, two of them don't work well with females. Nicole doesn't do well with females, and Christmas doesn't do well with females. So that seems a little bit weird to me that those three want to get together. And Danny doesn't do well with alliances. So that's just a nightmare. Like, it's just not good.
And their games were all kind of trending in different directions. I mean, like I said, Danny's a sinking ship. Nicole just,
Dragon monkey, the crocodile. Where's that at? That's good
great.
one. That's a good one. I hadn't heard that one yet. The crocodile. I might start using that one, Dragon Monkey and the crocodile. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if they'll be able to work it out. But I mean, it's going to be tough to make that happen because, is Christmas really going to stick her neck out to make this? Right. Christmas isn't going to stick her neck out to make this female alliance work out. So, we'll see. You get those, preliminary talks every season.
So I do like.
Was there a delay, or
I think your internet was lagging there for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're on a bit of a delay here.
Oh no.
Let me see here. You want to hop out and hop back in?
Yeah.
All right, he's going to hop out and hop back in, guys. He had a bit of a lag there. But I'll just continue through the episode. Davon is in the kitchen cooking, doing whatever it was she was doing. And, he's back already.
Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Cool. I was just going to continue through. You came back quick. All I said was Davon. So Davon's in the kitchen with David. And this is what I enjoy. This is the Big Brother that when I was younger, that I watched and I enjoyed. The upfront, why'd you do it? Even if she's wrong, right? Even if Davon is wrong, looking at David and asking him flat out, why'd you flip? I enjoy that much better, because now we're addressing the issues. Now David is put in a position to where he either tells the truth or he lies, and it changes the gameplay. This whole thing where they just kind of mosey around each other and don't say anything to each other and go in the DRs and complain, I hate that. Davon made a move that I enjoy, where she looked David square in the face and said, why'd you do it? Whether she believes him or not, she addressed it.
Right. And I mean, she just wants answers. And I mean, we haven't seen much of that in this season because everyone's just so scared to do something. They all just beat around the bush and just complain in the DR, like you said. So, just game players like that. I mean, is it really good for Davon to confront David in the kitchen, potentially in front of the rest? I mean, potentially for the rest of the house to hear, to, potentially blow up both of their games in some sort of confrontation? Probably not, but, I can respect it.
Yeah. And, and then Kevin comes over to sue that. Kevin's, I guess, like the peacemaker between the two at this point. There's going to be an eruption there. I mean, I don't get it. Like, I've never played the game. I've never been in the house, but I don't see how they can't look at the situation of the four people that were supposed to vote the way they're supposed to vote and not realize that Nicole is the flip. It just blows my mind. And they're so headstrong that it's almost like they've made up their mind already, and there's no room for them to take any new information in and realize that, wait a second, I need to change how I view this.
They're believing people who aren't even in their alliance, who haven't shown any allegiance to them, and it's just they're getting played like a fiddle here. And I mean, it's not going to work out for them. They really need to stop and think and realize, why would it make sense for David to flip on us when he's going to be on the bottom he's already on the bottom with us, but why would he be convinced that it would be different if he flips the majority alliance? So, these are just things that they need to consider, but they're all just clearly very emotional right now.
Right. And so we're going to revisit taco night here. So Cody, I guess, was the chef of taco night. He put it all together. The man, I'm looking at that table. He had a smorgasbord of just guacamole, salsa, tacos, all this stuff, man. And so you hear the voice or you hear Memphis come out and say, "Hey guys, come to the nomination room," or whatever that room is, living room. And at this point in my mind, I've seen Big Brother enough to know. I know somebody's not eating that meal. I'm like, this meal has been made and somebody is not going to eat. So we get to it and we kind of scan around, and it is the have-not meeting. And you see Kevin is just like devouring a burrito. And then you look at Christmas. Christmas, I think, ate that whole burrito in like 2 bites.
Yeah, they just cut to that montage of her just like shoving it in her mouth and
the girl likes to eat. The girl likes to eat. Russell, if you watch this, man, Christmas, you're gonna have to have a big grocery bill, Russell, because I saw this girl eat the burrito. That was a big burrito. She devoured it in no time. So that grocery bill is gonna be expensive. So I hope that's worth it. But anyway, so we get to the choices. Davon was a have-not, so she gets to choose the next have-not. And who does she choose, David? Who does she pick?
So Davon picks Christmas to be the next have-not, and Christmas was not happy at all about this. You can see her kind of like trying to smile through the pain, like, I'll be all right, I'll get through this, but she is heated so much on the outside or on the inside, so just very, very angry about that. Is she not allowed to finish that burrito? Like when she gets told you're now a have-not, and she has burrito in hand, right? Is she allowed to just finish that burrito, or does she have to literally put the burrito down that she has in her hand? Because Cody said that he couldn't go eat after. Well, I guess whatever. David chose Cody for the have-not, but he said he couldn't go eat. So does she have to put that burrito down? I would think so, honestly.
I'd be pissed off too.
I would.
If I have the burrito in my hand, I wouldn't react like she did, but I'd be upset too if I have this delicious steak taco in front of me that I took the time to create, and I got just enough taste in my mouth of the burrito, and then I'm told I have to put that down and just let it expire on a plate. I wouldn't be happy with that. But
she this week Christmas received coal, I guess. I mean, I'm sure CBS loves to use all these Christmas puns, so I guess you could say she received pun for being a have-not, but or received coal for being a have-not. But I mean, there was just so much angst between the 4 people who were involved in these decisions. Davon kept on saying, like, you're not mad, and then Christmas is just trying to smile through the pain, saying, I'll get through it. And then she even says thank you to Davon at one point for naming her a have-not.
That's one of those petty thank yous where you guys get into an argument and you're trying to get the last word and you say thank you or you're welcome. Like that's one of those petty things. But and we said this too in 2 weeks ago. Me and you, we did one of our videos. I think it was on the veto when Davon used the veto. Was this hatchet is not buried. Like they sat there and they talked to each other and they said, oh, we're good. We're totally fine. Hatchet buried. It's not buried. And that came out clear here. Like there's no doubt in my mind who Davon was going to choose as a have-not. Zero doubt.
Right. I mean, and then it cuts to that scene where Christmas refers to about her overhearing Davon saying she's going to put up Kevin as a have-not or name Kevin as the have-not. But, is it good for Davon to lie about that? No. But does it really matter? No. Because Christmas, what else do you expect? Like, you put Davon on the block next to her best friend, and this is the least she can do to, like, get a little payback. I mean, and you got to think, like, why, like, even if she's saying this, it makes no sense for Davon to put up one of her friends who she said in the veto ceremony, you're not my ally, but you are my friend, and Kevin. Why would she put up one of her friends as a have-not? So, the fact that Christmas is super shocked by this is just a little confusing to me.
Lack of awareness is what it is. It's lack of awareness. That's all it is. But, the committee members, they keep getting Jason says the committee members keep getting salty when the outsiders refuse to play their game and bow down. Yeah, we have covered that a few times where He was shocked that when Cody was shocked that David was going to use his power. Was the power, or was it Davon using the veto when Cody was shocked? It was when David was going to use his power, right? Because then they started trashing David.
Right. Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah, it was that. And then I think also when Davon wanted to use the veto last week, Cody was like, what? She can't do that. Like, why would she do that? It's like, God forbid.
And it comes back to what you say. When you go back, Big Brother 16, the gameplay broke the mold. He was part of that gameplay with Derek to where, look, we're the majority. You work in the majority, and the outsiders don't have an opinion. What they say doesn't matter. It's what we want. So he comes from that style of gameplay. So when he sees this happen, it's new to him because in his season, it didn't happen. People didn't go against him.
He always got what he wanted. And I mean, it's just so hard to watch these outsiders try and pander to the majority alliance when if they realize they all banded together and pose some sort of coalition against the majority, they could actually make some things happen. It's irritating to watch.
Anna, I see you in the comments there. Unfortunately, those comments don't attribute to any gameplay, but you are on Christmas hard, Anna. You really don't like Christmas, do you? So, my goodness, I'm just looking at some of these things coming through. But yeah, so we'll move on through that. Yeah, Christmas gets mad, petty, it's dumb. She should have seen it coming. David then you see Cody and you knew Cody was gonna be half not when he saw that he cooked the meal and he's like looking around and going he's like trying not to make eye contact. It's like I knew he wasn't gonna have that meal, and I kind of feel bad for him, man, because he cooked that whole thing and now he can't eat and he has to watch everybody else enjoy it. That sucks. That really sucks.
Right, and I don't know. I thought it was funny when they cut to him and he just had like the jaw drop and he's like, "You're serious? It's me?" And then he walks off and he says under his breath like, "Oh, guess I got to have a protein shake now." So yeah, I mean, a lot of bitterness just from this have-not meeting.
Man. That's rough. Protein shake. You just got to look, and I imagine you probably helped clean it up too, because that would just be rough, man. But yeah, so I felt for the man there. I felt for him. But let's see. Yeah, I noticed that too, Tammy. That's one thing I want to say too. So. Before Davon made that decision, it's like Christmas too was coming because Christmas is staring at her, still taking bites of the burrito that she had on the plate. And it's like she's like, I got to finish this damn burrito before she says my name and I get upset. but yeah, I would do the same thing though. If I knew, I'd be taking a burrito off somebody else's plate and putting it, eating it. But so anyway, so we go back. David in a confessional, his diary room. He basically breaks down the house. He basically says what happened. He says, Nicole flipped. They're pinning it on me, and Danny is helping. And he nails it. That's exactly what's happening in the house. But again, like we've already stated, we don't really need to go over that again. Is he can't do anything about it, and it blows my mind that you can know It's like you know what's going to happen. You know who's going to do what. You know who's with who. Yet you are totally incapable of changing that course. It's crazy.
Right. I mean. And when he tells people, I mean, this is kind of where he gets a little unlucky because when he's told people these things, they've either not believed him or he's just kept this information to himself for whatever reason. But I mean, he has these excellent reads and it's just like, what does he have to lose? Like, why not just air out the dirty laundry and just take a shot? But, just nothing is going right for David right now. It's been a tough season for him overall. But I mean, this is just like the climax of everything being difficult for him.
Right. So we get and I really wanted to cover this conversation because let me tell you, this isn't how it would have gone for me. Memphis pulls David into the HOH room. Memphis
being Memphis, pretty much.
This is insanity. 100% insanity. So basically what he does, he's the HOH. He knows he's going to try to get David out of the house, right? That's his goal. He wants to back up David. So he pulls David in and says, hey, I'm not going to nominate you, but if you play in the veto, you can't win. You can't use the veto if you do win, and you can't tell anybody about this. So basically he's saying, I want to put baby in the corner, don't talk, don't play this week, and then I'm having all the power. And David and Memphis don't have the best relationship.
And the way he starts this conversation, too, is he says, you want a seat at the table? Well, you can get one now, kid. It's like and which is referring to the nomination ceremony about what he said. It's like he thinks he's just being some like alpha or godfather, and he's just going to, manipulate David into doing whatever he wants. And I mean, obviously, we get David sensing after this in a DR that something's up and he could be getting backdoored, but nonetheless, he agrees to it. But the way Memphis handled that was just so condescending, and so many other people would have reacted in so many different ways. But, kudos to David for, keeping his cool there and just accepting the deal for the time being.
Yeah, and I'm just like, David has to look at this and be like, okay, me and this guy have not had the best relationship. We have not talked game. And now he wants to pull me in and protect me after he's already nominated me once before. Like, hello, red flags. Like, what's going on here? And in his diary room confessional, he comes out and he goes, I think we can do something here. I think I can start to build an alliance. What? Are you kidding me right now?
He's being like level-headed and optimistic, and then right after that he says like, oh, okay, maybe Memphis is backdooring me, but he wants to give Memphis the benefit of the doubt, but he's kind of on to him. But still, just Memphis is just saying like, and if you leak this deal to anyone else in the house, I will know it comes from you, and I will make it a point of mine to make sure that you are the one and only target in this house. Like, good God. Like,
I think you're lagging again. You want to hop out and hop back in real quick? Yeah, so only one I care about left is Enzo. That's actually who I'm predicting to win the whole season. Like, a lot of people are picking Cody. I'm picking Enzo. That's my guy. That's my preseason guy. So let me bring him back in here real quick. Cool.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Cool. So, so if it would have been me in that room and Memphis comes up to me and acts like that towards me, I would have basically looked back at him and broke down the deal that he tried to give me just so he could hear what he said. I'd look at him and I'd be like, okay, so if I win the veto, I can't use it. If I play in the veto, I have to try to lose it. And I can't talk to anybody about this deal that you and I are making. So basically what I have to do is sit back and listen to Daddy all week. That's what I would say. And if he looks at me and he says, yes, hey, that say it with your chest, man, because that's some strong words. But if he looks back at me and tries to negotiate that, red flags are going up, man. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This isn't good for my game. That my arch nemesis is trying to save me. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Right. I mean, you got to realize something's up there, and it just, I don't know. It just, yeah, David, sure, accept the deal, shake his hand, Big Brother 101, always say yes when you're offered something. But I mean, you just got to realize Memphis wanting to extend all of Branch, just, it doesn't really seem genuine. So, Yeah,
so we'll get to the nominations here. We'll kind of try to wrap it up for you guys here. Davon and Kevin are the nominees. It's no shock. The one thing of note here that I do have is David has spent the last couple of days trying to convince Kevin and Davon he was not the flip vote. It was not him. In no way, no how would he do that. It's not good for his game. And lo and behold, he's not on the block. So the only thing that would have confirmed to them that he was not the flip was if he was on the block, and they didn't put him on there. So I'm just like, this man is getting played left and right, because even if one of them stay, they're not going to trust him. There's no way now.
Right. And I mean, this is just going to be one of those seasons. I mean, you hear it all the time. The players say in the house, like, when you watch this back, when you go home, you're going to feel so stupid. So many people on the season are going to feel the wrath of that. They're going to watch back the tapes and just realize, like, I should have done this and that differently. I mean, we saw when Nicole A earlier this season, Jazar had her back. She didn't believe that. And I mean, Davon and Kevin are probably going to be feeling real silly after the season once they get out of the jury house.
So the last thing that we do see is, we've been ripping David for his conversation with Memphis, is the last thing he says is if he does win the veto, he's going to save a friend. So it looks like David agreed to not use the veto if he won it, but if he does win, he told the DR that he's going to use it. So I'd like to see what happens if he does win the veto. If he does use it, I think he will. If he does the veto,
no reason to.
if he does it like David, just walk out the house now. Like, just there's no reason for you to stay. If you win the veto and don't use it, just walk out the house. But
exactly, yeah, no reason to be pandering to Memphis at all.
Right. Anything on this episode that we missed that you want to cover?
Davon and David had a quick, or David was talking to Kevin, and he wanted to clear the air with Davon, but she walked away from the bathroom and went outside. And basically, David said he'll talk to her and he'll clear the air with her whenever she's ready. And I feel like that was the right way to go about it. You know, when she's ready, I'll talk to her about it. But at the same time, you know, they all got to get on the same page at some point quickly, or else they're just going to be the next three to go. So, you know, that was really the only other conversation. But I mean, it's just they're all against you. It's Kevin and Davon just don't trust David. So, you know, whether he escapes this week or not, I don't see much longevity for those three in the game anymore, unfortunately.
Yep. So that's the recap, guys. If you're watching, please click that like button. My goal, like I said earlier in the video, I would like to get to 50 likes on this video that we're posting now. Please comment as well. When you get done watching the video, leave a comment. What you like that we did, what we talked about. If there's anything in the episode that we missed, I go through and I respond to all the comments. Let us know where we're right. Let us know where we're wrong. Who do you think will win the veto? Who do you think is going to win the game? Let us know all of those things, because I'll get on there and I'll get into conversations with you guys. Me and David, we're on here every Sunday and Wednesday. We do the nominations episode and the eviction. I'm sorry, not the eviction, the veto episode. Every Sunday, every Wednesday, we'll be here. And then Russell does the Thursday night Surviving Big Brother, where he brings on past Big Brother guests to discuss the eviction and do a player's he kind of does a player's performance just after the episode as well. But yeah, guys, like the video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you guys back on Wednesday.
Alrighty. See you guys Wednesday.